Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasati.
Hare Krishna, welcome. We are continuing to read Bhagavad-gita, and this second chapter is giving an analytical description of the spirit soul of the Atma, and we will continue. It will come a little bit from different angles and so on. We will read that, and then the second half of the second chapter describes how we apply this in our lives. But first we need to have some understanding of why to apply anything at all, and that is the knowledge of the spirit soul. I'm reading text 18. Antavanta ime deha nityashyokta sharirinaha anashino prameyasya tasmadyudhasya bharata. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. Purport. The material body is perishable by nature. It may perish immediately, or it may do so after 100 years. It is a question of time only. There is no chance of maintaining it indefinitely, but the spirit soul is so minute that it cannot even be seen by an enemy, to say nothing of being killed. Ha! Yes, that is one logical way of looking at it. The body will perish. We don't know exactly when, but we know for a fact that everyone who has ever been born in this world, they have also died. We will also die. Everyone will die. Soul will not die. And one reason is because it is an eternal particle of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Satchitananda, full of knowledge, eternality and bliss. Another reason is that it is so tiny that the enemy who is coming, we're on the battlefield, the enemies are coming with swords and arrows and so on. And these weapons, they will not be able to touch the soul because it is simply too small. As mentioned in the previous verse, it is so small that no one can have any idea how to measure its dimensions. So from both viewpoints there is no cause of lamentation, because the living entity as he is cannot be killed, nor can the material body be saved for any length of time or permanently protected. We have experience of that. It has left a large imprint on the European consciousness, the Second World War. It was a terrible thing. Suddenly, countries that used to be neighbors were fighting each other, and unspeakable horrors were placed upon the non-desirable groups of people. We all heard about it. I'm not going to speak so much about the Second World War. There is enough Second World War going on in the world without me. But one thing that happened was religious people lost their faith. They were praying, this war is there, my father is in the war, my son is in the war, my husband is in the war, please God protect him. And then when they died, they were disappointed. I was praying to you, God, why didn't you protect them? The fact is, we will all die. No prayer will change that, because that is the nature of this world. Everybody will die. And that may sound very morbid and very negative. Nonetheless, it is a fact. And when we plan our lives, it is good to get as much factual knowledge as possible, because then we can make decisions based on facts and we can decide what to do with our lives. So we will not aim for eternal life in this body, because that is simply not possible. Then we will aim to understand who we are, and we can find that the spirit soul is eternal. Then we can plan accordingly. So here we're in the battlefield, and those are on the battlefield, they will die either in the battle or at a later state in life. So Krishna says, don't put too much consideration on the bodily platform. The spirit soul, on the other hand, will never die. So either you're looking at it from that point of view or the other point of view, the conclusion is the same. There's no cause. From both viewpoints, there is no cause of lamentation, because the living entity as is cannot be killed, nor can the material body be saved. The minute particle of the whole spirit acquires this material body according to his work, and therefore observance of religious principles should be utilized. In the Vedanta Sutra, the living entity is qualified as light because he is part and parcel of the Supreme Light. As sunlight maintains the entire universe, so the light of the soul maintains this material body. Yes, the work that maintains the body is spoken more about in the 3rd chapter, which is called Karma Yoga, which is all about work, actions, reactions. It's a quite a sophisticated understanding, and we will get there. But the fact is that when we're in this body, that body was created by our previous activities that has given us this body, and therefore observance of religious principles should be utilized. And this is knowledge that is not so widespread, because if you understand from the Vedas that there is such a thing as karma, every activity you do will have a result, then it is intelligent to not just make the immediate thing. Like right now, I am hungry, I am thirsty, I will grab anything and I will eat it. And that's, of course, we have to eat and drink. There's nothing wrong with that. But we can plan a little further ahead. That if we act against the spiritual principles, if we act against the religious principles, then there will be reactions, both on a level of the society, both on our individual level. We are building our future by how we are living right now. So we are not in the Bhagavad-gita going to get too much into the detailed application of religious principles according to the Vedic culture. We will rise even above that, because we will speak directly of the spirit soul. But it's good to understand that cause and effect, how we act, how it influences our life, it is also subtle science. And yes, the Vedanta Sutra, the living entity is qualified as light. Sunlight maintains the entire universe, so the light of the soul maintains this material body. This is very beautiful. This is very poetic. It's also practical knowledge. When we're in this body, it has life. It is animated. There's a person there. As soon as the spirit soul is out of the material body, the body begins to decompose. Therefore, it is the spirit soul which maintains this body. Yes, that's a fact. Somebody dies. Sooner or later, of course, I'm in Sweden. It is not a hot country. When people die here, they are kept in the cold for sometimes several weeks before there is a funeral. In other countries, that is not possible. Then you have your whatever rituals, whatever structure you do after death, a lot quicker, a couple of days at most. And bodies, sometimes they are buried, sometimes they are burnt. In the Vedic culture, we recommend burning because we want the soul to be able to move on. And if there's a body there, the soul may stay out of this attachment, out of this habit. So if the body is burnt, it's easier for the soul to move on. So here it said the soul maintains the body itself is unimportant. Arjuna was advised to fight and not sacrifice the cause of religion for material bodily consideration. Yes, so we're coming back to this battle. Of course, Bhagavad-gita is spoken on the battlefield, and it's not just a symbolic battle, it's a factual battle. And here we can see if Arjuna considers his own body, his friends' and relatives' bodies, to be more important than the religious and spiritual principles, that is not the best way to put your priorities. And Krishna is reminding Arjuna of that. Yes, I read another verse, text 19. Ya enang vitihantaram, yas chainang manyate hatam, ubhau tau na vijani to, nayang hanti nahanyate. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain, is in knowledge, for the self slays not, nor is it slain. Purport: when an embodied living entity is hurt by a fatal weapon, it is to be known that the living entity within the body is not killed. The spirit soul is so small that it is impossible to kill him by any material weapon, as will be evident from subsequent verses. Nor is the living entity killable because of his spiritual constitution. What is killed, or is supposed to be killed, is the body only. This, however, does not at all encourage killing of the body. No, we have to mention that, of course. Just because we know that the soul is eternal doesn't mean we can act in any way at all, because of course we will still cause some suffering. It's even said, something that is quite prominent today, is that people live by killing animals and then eating them. This is rather uncivilized, and it is not necessary, and it is not a good idea. And then this world is very much run by the law of karma. So when you're in a certain body, you will achieve happiness and distress. Things will come to you. Some things will not come to you according to your karma. And if you live out your life in this body, you will take the next step to the next body. As human beings, we are influencing this by our activities, but animals and plants, they don't do that. They are living through the karma that they have already accumulated from their activities in the human form. Because as human beings, we are responsible for our activities. Animals, they are not responsible. They will just gain whatever. They cannot break the laws of nature. They cannot change their eating habits. They cannot do that. So they live out this life, and they burn off that karma that they took with them to this life. And when they leave that animal body, they will take the next step in the series of reincarnation on their way back to human form. If we kill them on the way, they will have to repeat that birth. So that is a bigger violence. It's enough. It's of a violence to kill somebody to eat them. It's rather horrible. But when we realize that on top of that, we are stopping their progress, their progression to their next human form, where they again can take up to spiritual life, that is violence on a higher level, on a different level. So that is not encouraged. That is not why Krishna is speaking Bhagavad-gita, that we will all become careless and think, bodies, life, death, it's all doesn't matter because the soul is eternal. No, when we live in this body, we still have to act in the right way, because otherwise the results of those actions will come back to us, and we do not want to cause harm to anyone. This understanding, we can study it further. We can understand papa and punya, sinful activities, pious activities, which have a good result, which have a bad result, in detail. But at least we can understand the basic principles. When we give somebody else suffering, that suffering will come back to us. It will create a terrible situation in the present, and it will create a terrible situation in the future. So random, unsanctioned killing is never recommended at all, even to the point of animals for food, or flies and mosquitoes that are just annoying you. We don't kill them. We don't do that. But this is a battlefield. This is a different situation. This is the duty of the warrior to protect his people, to protect his kingdom, to protect religious principle. So mostly we are not on a battlefield in that way. Yes, I just wanted to go into that a little more. This, however, does not encourage the killing of the body. The Vedic injunction is Ma hingshyat sarva bhutani, never commit violence to anyone. Nor does understanding that the living entity is not killed encourage animal slaughter. Killing the body of anybody without authority is abominable and is punishable by the law of the state as well as by the law of the Lord. Arjuna, however, is being engaged in killing for the principle of religion and not whimsically. So these are some of the principles of the Bhagavad-gita and some of the understandings, and that is why I'm just reading verse by verse. And all these things that will come up, maybe not on a, we're not making a bullet list of the most important things, we're just reading them as they come, and we can organically hear them and understand them and put them into practice. So today, yes, we're bringing that with us. We are eternal spirit soul. There is the opportunity for us to realize that. And please don't kill anybody. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalang